There are so many ways we could have started this. That was probably the best way.
It
is what it is.
Kind of feel like two guys that debated on stage, and one of them being Sanal.
My bowling game's a lot better than yours. I can hit 7-10 split. What can you do?
And the other one going, "You suck. I'm the best."
All this and more on the Self-Evident Show. Welcome to the Self-Evident Podcast. You got Massey. You got Mike.
I'm still laughing, man.
Oh, man, this is fun.
Have us. This is fun.
This is fun, isn't it?
This is fun.
I'm so glad to have you guys here. I want you all to know, they did their job this morning. They figured out something brand new with the equipment. They figured out a new way to do things, all under the pressure of time. So give them a round of applause. That's right. That's right. If you are brand new to us, you've never met us before, you're a new subscriber, welcome, Phil Coleman. We love to have fun. We love to talk all things government, all things culture, church. We love it. It's all fun.
Yeah.
So what else are you going to say? Go to theselfevidenttruth.com. Get yourself some merch. Get yourself a t-shirt. Sign up as a monthly sponsor.
A donor.
I thought you were going to say donut, which sounds kind of good right now.
Sounds good right now, too.
Yes. So donate donuts to Self-Evident. Yeah. Follow us. Go to the blogs. Man, we got Texas coming up. That's what, a week and a half, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to be in Texas.
Yeah.
Homeschoolers, watch out.
We preach here in Stewart, which is this Sunday, not the Sunday, but the July 7th, and then we leave to Texas for a couple weeks, and then we go to South Carolina right after that, and then shortly after that, I go to Iowa.
There we go.
So,
sorry, I'm typing.
oh, I didn't know. See, he doesn't say nothing to me, but that's
Mass,
okay.
He left you on the spot.
He left me on the spot. Guys, listen, if you guys have not participated in the Torchbearer thing, please be one. We need your support. So, guys, God bless you for those who support. You keep us going out there on the streets. We just got back again from Georgia. It was awesome. Again, spending some time out there with some awesome dudes. The one good thing about traveling and preaching is the souls being saved and the guys we get to travel with and be with, and Dave Glander and Reasons for Hope for that whole Equip retreat.
Amazing people.
Great people. You were there. It's the first time you met them.
Yep.
Alex definitely was a joy, bro. Like, that guy is so legit. So we're getting out there, man. We're making the rounds. We got a major announcement coming up very soon as well. So stay tuned for that. A big announcement that's really gonna, you're gonna see a lot of changes, and it's gonna be awesome. So we're really excited about that, guys. The debate.
It sure was.
Sure was. I was actually going to post this. It was the tale of two grumpy old men, but I didn't do that because I don't want to make more fun of it than what it was.
It was the retiree rumble, the geriatric no, I won't say that. That'll get us.
It was geriatric jello is what it was.
Yeah, that's
it was
a good way
crazy,
to put
dude.
it, man.
Even down to the point where they're contending if their golf game was better than one. It was a weird.
Probably my favorite moment of the whole night.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I got a comment because I posted about Biden can't finish a sentence. The country sees right through this. And someone actually responded this, and I thought it was kind of weird, but like they said, well, President Reagan had Alzheimer's at the end of his term, and nobody said a thing about that. I'm like, well, who championed that? No one said that was a good thing. I don't think people were like, yeah, way to go with Alzheimer's. And you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's a bad way to describe, nobody was thinking that was probably a good thing that he had Alzheimer's in the last part of his term.
So by your statement, you're saying that cognitive decline is not great for a person to be in the president's seat. Thank you for agreeing with us.
Right. It was weird. So guys, just be you have fun with this one. Have fun with this one. This is going to be good. So
Gary said,
I was
let's
about to
get
say
ready
that.
to mumble.
I think, too, the one of the cool things that happened was you saw the CNN for what it was, the elite for what it was. You saw them attack one another. And you were out there with us for a lot of it, dude, Isaiah. One of the things that happened afterwards, too, that really got me was how they just attacked, Joe Biden right away. You see them for years defend their candidate. And you also saw CNN who's like, we just want the truth. Only talked about the Democrat Party, not the Republican Party, not about what they're doing. So you see the ruse. And this is why we don't ascribe to that two-party system stuff, is because they want to pull you into that weird WWE bad, good guy, bad guy, heel, baby face kind of thing.
Raw versus SmackDown, basically.
Yeah, it really is. But they're both in wrestling under WWE, Raw and SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
And it's this competition, and it's like, okay, I'm not saying Trump is a lot like Biden. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they're trying to pull you into that kind of conflict. Yeah. So you have to be careful what you're seeing. But also, too, the words that they use in these debates is so ridiculous. Let me give you an example. It's spend, 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 invest, 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 grow, grow, grow. We create, we do. And it's like, no, that's not the job of government. So, and then the word democracy being thrown around like we're a democracy. Dude, they have lied to you for years. And so there's so many things that we got to cover in this podcast that I think, we'll do a better job at.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we're gonna get to more at the end of it, because we're gonna talk about, okay, where do they go from here, right? That panel, if you didn't watch the panel, we'll talk about it more in a second, but there was something very telling, and those of you who were watching it, you may have noticed this. Like Massey said, there was not a whole lot of discussion about the Republican Party, their strategy, moving forward, all of that. And every single person on that panel, you know what they said? Biden can't continue. We got to change something. We have to do something else. There was not a single person on that panel that said, no, I think he can do this. I think he'll make it. And
not one person.
Not one person was like, I think you guys are over it. No, it was for what it was, and we'll get into, hey, why might that be? And you'll also notice this term is going to come out over and over and over again. Biden, they keyed him in to have to say this, they programmed him to say this, lie. You're lying.
He's
a liar.
They all did it.
And then they all did on the panel. And then you showed me the video of Jill Biden saying, she was like announcing to the crowd,
Trump
all he did lied.
Did you see, too, at the end, did you guys watch the credits? I specifically watched at the end when President Trump walked off the stage. President Biden's wife came up to him and helped him down the stairs.
Right.
I know a lot of people say elder abuse and whatever you want to call it. Don't fall into the... It's almost like we're throwing that word around as a buzzword now, like racism. The bottom line is they know what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. They knew this was going to happen. They did. You know why? Because of how coordinated those attacks were against President Trump at the end, calling him a liar without citing anything. We've memorized all his points at this point. It's all a lie. When he caught Biden in many lies, even saying the Border Patrol endorsed him, and the Border Patrol coming out and saying we didn't endorse you. So there was... To me, Trump doesn't necessarily... I got to be careful how I say this. Yes, every presidential candidate flubs their stuff. They do. They conflate.
Everybody, I had
the greatest economy ever. When Biden says, our greatest uptick in economy, more jobs created, it's like, yeah, because the country was shut down, but they don't say that, right?
Right.
So it's like everybody conflates. Trump is more of a spike the football kind of guy. He conflates numbers, but what the pith of what he's saying is things improved.
Yeah.
Right? But Biden is literally like, can you believe the horse crap this guy just said? I never heard a president talk like that ever in history. It's like, seriously?
Right.
Seriously?
Right.
Woodrow Wilson, you never heard Bill Clinton having sexual relations, and you never heard a president do anything struggle to, just the dumb statements that were made. And it's like, the average American person has to see right through this. They have to, because you're looking at it going, is this the system? This is the system that we're in right now. You know what I mean?
I think it was It was a major thing for pretty much everybody involved. And at the same time, a major failure because we got to see pretty much just nobody looks at this thing and went, wow, that was a hard-hitting, powerful debate. They really went toe-to-toe on... No.
On real issues.
All of it is like, well, that was a crap show. That was gong. Like, let's get into this because there's a lot of points and we've got some clips. And I will say... Trump's campaign just came out with a minute 30.
Yeah, please comment where you're from as well.
Advertisement of Trump didn't say a single word in the advertisement. It's all from the debate. And it's a minute 30 straight of Biden losing his mind in terms of talking, mumbling, and it put on display how far gone this guy really is. Now, we're going to start off with economy stuff. Biden blamed Trump for the economy, and you saw him do this several times, and basically his whole point was, well, Trump screwed it all up during COVID, and I had to put it back together, and by the way, I put it back together really, really well, which is really disingenuous. Now, Trump apologists, let's have a cup of coffee here.
That's a great way to put it.
Trump did support shutting down the economy for a couple of weeks.
He did.
He stood in front of the nation and supported that move. Now, he kind of backed off of it, which is good, even though he should have never supported it. Democrats in states and localities then pushed the whole thing forward and continued it on forever. Right? So Biden points the finger at Trump. And here's another thing. They were comparing deaths, right? Trump says, well, Biden had way more COVID deaths under his presidency than I did. It's like, bro, you had like 2 months of COVID. They drugged that thing out for 2 years after that. So, of course.
Yeah, and then too, like, there was also a vaccine push by Trump. You know what I mean? And so there's all those things that are residual effects, right? Mm-hmm. And the bottom line is the Trump apologists will always defend Trump.
Right.
That's what I'm noticing, right? Like, I'm going to make a statement that's not going to be very popular, but I just want you to hear me here, okay? We won't give a Christian pastor the way to say, man, look, we need him to repent, because this last show we did got a lot of ire. We weren't tough enough on Robert Morris. We were too soft on Robert Morris. We were too tough on Robert Morris. There was not enough attention given to the woman, right? But I'm noticing, like, dude, they'll defend Trump to high heaven, but throw Robert Morris under that bus, homeboy. You know, it's crazy, right? Like, and that's just how it goes in politics. That's how polarizing and crazy it is. Not diminishing what Robert Morris did. Go watch that podcast. It's got a lot of views on it, which is crazy. But we're seeing more and more as I'm hearing them both talk, and what you just said. It's like it's the conflation of numbers. It's this. Yeah. It's this, I didn't do what you're doing right now. The economy sucks. Inflation's crazy, blah, blah, blah. Well, inflation hit because, number one, we're dependent on government for everything. So when you shut down an economy and people lose jobs, businesses, the global economy stops for 2.5, 3 weeks, that's going to create a ripple effect in the system. Dude, every single libertarian friend of mine that I follow, they said, we talked about this. That's going to create a ripple effect. You watch inflation shoot up. Ron Paul talked about this years ago, early 2000s when I first got to know him. Ron Paul brought this up. Inflation will increase when government gets more involved. Look what happened. See what I'm saying? They didn't let the free market do what it did. And so you're seeing all this stuff. But you know what's so funny? Not one question by CNN was asked about COVID that I remember.
So we missed the first 10 minutes, so there was some discussion about COVID.
Oh, there was? I didn't hear. Okay.
Yeah, it's because, and for those of you who tuned in last night, we had said we didn't hear COVID at all. We tuned in about 10 minutes late. So, it was not even on focus on COVID. It was economy attached to COVID. And when I listen to this type of stuff, and maybe you're like this, I tend to tune out the specific stats. Because stats are so manipulated all over the board. You can take a single stat and twist it any way you want. What I tend to listen for in these type of debates is what's not being said, right? or what's the general direction of where the person is going, right? And you'll notice both of them really, I've got to do this, I'm going to do this, I will do this, I did do this, me, 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 me. And unfortunately, that's where our system is at. But get off my soapbox, let's get back to the specifics. So Biden had really hit Trump on the deficit. He hit Trump on the fact that the debt grew by about $8 trillion under Trump.
It did.
And actually the moderators mentioned it. So Jake Tapper said under Trump's presidency, it was like 8 point something. And then he pointed at Biden and said under yours, 4 point something trillion. It grew under both. It went massive under both.
Right. That's $12 trillion. They're like,
between two
you
guys.
did it too much. You didn't do it enough. Like it's so dumb, dude. And how they shape those questions.
And as an aside, I don't know if anybody caught this. Biden in his kind of rambling screed about the economy. And he
Dude,
was
you
talking
gotta
about
dumb me
corporate
this stuff
greed.
down for the people, bro. Like, I don't even know what screed means.
Well, I'm lifting you up to my level. He's talking about corporate
Explain
greed.
it to me again, would you?
Why is Creed? They're a great band.
That's a great brand.
This is a great band.
What's his name? Scotty.
Scott.
Scotty, he's a good friend of mine. He went to Iraq with me.
Yeah. Play golf together. I shot a negative 40. Sorry. Moving on. So he's talking about corporate greed.
Oh, no.
I don't know if anybody caught this, but he said, we're going to cap rents.
Oh, yeah. He said that.
We're going to cap rents. He's talking about rent control, people. Now, if you haven't been anywhere near the world of economics or policy, you may think, well, yeah, we got to control rent because rent is going outrageous.
Because of inflation.
Exactly. Look at San Francisco.
Dude.
Look at San Francisco. Look at these places that have implemented rent control policies. You know what happens? Everybody just raises the rent to the top. And then nobody can get a place.
That's right. And only the elite can afford it. So it's actually a weird thing how this all works. Government gets involved, crap gets destroyed, then government says, wait a minute, we have to do something about it.
Right.
It was your involvement in the first place that made all this happen.
Just quit and we'll be better off.
Let the free market do its thing, dude. When people quit because they can't pay rent, what do you think those homeowners are going to do, or the people who own, these corporate people who own these types of places that are for rent? What do you think they're going to do?
Right.
Drop the rent to compete. They have to.
No.
They don't have a choice.
It's a mess. So they went back and forth. Biden made an argument that they were talking about Afghanistan in the middle of this whole economy thing.
Of course they were.
Of course they were. And Biden made some comment, and I had it on my notes. I don't know where I put it. But he basically makes the comment that, well, I had no dead soldiers under me for the past decade or something like that. And making this comment of,
dude,
more guys died under Trump than me. What?
And Trump never had a war.
Right. And Biden tried to hit him with like, I pulled out of Afghanistan, you didn't. Trump goes, you just flew out in the middle of the night and that was your pullout. He was like, Trump was pointing out, I was setting up strategy. I was trying to figure out how to do this. You just, the worst. And I do believe, and I do agree with Trump that this was one of the worst moments for the U.S. This is that Vietnam last helicopter out of Vietnam moment for us that we're going to look 40, 50, 60 years and go, the Afghanistan withdrawal was the worst move the U.S. made in terms of war policy or war strategy. It was awful. And Biden tried to downplay it, and Trump rightfully nailed him on it.
Masterfully. There was a lot of things masterfully. He knew how to go into this one. You even heard moderators say that Trump was ready for this. Like he needed to come in without all the fanfare and craziness and just say what he needed to say. You know what I mean?
And did you notice, and I want to point this out right away, did you guys notice that Trump was very controlled?
He wasn't crazy.
He wasn't. And he didn't get outrageous with his insults. He wasn't interrupting without the microphone.
But he had some doozies,
boy. He had some nailers, which was he needed to. But I'm really impressed with how he approached this debate.
Guys, all you viewing right now, comment down below what you thought of the debate, and we'll discuss it with you because we want to do that with you on this show specifically. We're live on this one to comment with you, to talk with you about it. Tell us some thoughts that you're having. What are you seeing that we're not seeing? We want to really get involved with you in this, and we love the dialogue and discourse of that.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the clips. Let's go to clip 2, COVID.
Yup. I shot a 6 handicap when I clipped it.
There
have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6.
Yeah, I see that.
And but by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lag. He's a 6 handicap of all.
Oh, this is the
I
golf
was
one.
8 handicap.
Yeah.
8. But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
you know
not
how
act
many
like
rounds-
children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's not act like children.
That
to a
child.
specific concern.
hear that? Did you hear that? Okay, so we were supposed to do the COVID one. They played the golf one. But did you hear that? All right. First off, I love the fact that they argued like this. My handicap's 6. No, it's 8. No, I don't. Let's go. You carry your own bag. You notice Trump said, okay, let's stop being children. He recognized, okay, I'm going to get blamed for this, so I've got to kind of bring this back through. And then Biden, you're a child.
And dude, there's Robert Kennedy going, I can't believe Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm sure was like, what are we watching? Tulsi Gabbard.
Right.
I didn't even go back and look at their responses. I did see Vivek's because it came across my screen.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about what are they thinking as they're watching this,
Right.
You had legit people. We may not have agreed with everything they purported, right? But just candidates who actually have an answer for issues. You notice that the Tulsi Gabbards, the Viveks, Robert, they're attacking issues that everyday Americans are talking about. Right. They really are.
Right.
Again, I don't agree with everything Robert Kennedy says. I don't agree with everything Tulsi Gabbard is. I didn't agree with everything Vivek was. I think Vivek needs to understand more of what the role of government is. Because he sounds conservative, but there are things he was like, I would have government do this. It's not their role. So there's a lot of things they need to do. But you at least have people who know these topics. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about Rand Paul. I'm thinking about Thomas Massey. All these guys. I bet you anybody, they're like, why are we in Congress, bro? Like what is the deal here?
I
You know
would
what
be
I mean?
slamming my head against the wall if I were one of them.
Dude, this is. So are we going to play clip 2, the COVID thing?
You guys have it keyed up?
Look, I'd be happy to have.
Are
a
they
driving
out of
contest
order
with him.
when you put them into the slides?
I pressed clip 2. Pressed clip 2, but it played a completely different one.
All right, just go to the downloaded ones then.
All right.
Nuts to the slides.
Driving contest with him.
Go ahead and play the COVID one, and we'll just talk about it after it gets done.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I realized.
Sorry, guys. Still
Our
ironing
bad.
out.
And then
Figuring
2,
something out.
yeah, we kind of feel like Biden and Trump now.
Yeah. This is
I will say
fine.
pleasantly, like I was thinking CNN was going to go after Trump.
Right.
They didn't really do that. You could tell the bias, but it wasn't like that one lady that came at him and he was like, you're a nasty woman. You know, like that one.
Right.
They weren't like that at all to me.
And
I was like, that's kind of shocking to me.
And that I think both sides showed a lot more restraint. Trump didn't go after. Trump was actually polite to the moderators. He do you mind if I retort to that? And I think it was Tapper
right.
like, let me ask you the question. You can do what you want with your time, right?
Yeah,
and we did notice that the lady kept saying former President Trump, which you never say that about any other president. We don't say that former President Obama. We said President Obama. Now, Tapper, to his credit, kept saying President Trump. And I think that's one of those small, minute things that you have to notice.
Yeah.
But
I think it's just etiquette
on the whole, it was a good. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it was etiquette thing. But what you got to play it up?
You ready?
Queued up. You're making me look bad, son.
Hey, it's a new thing, okay?
I'm feeling like Biden.
Happy to have a driving contest with him.
The golf clips are.
Play the downloaded ones.
I know, but like golf clip 2, it says COVID. It's the golf clip.
So you might have labeled it wrong.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I pressed the golf one that was.
No, but did you go to the sidebar where I uploaded the clips? Did you do those?
Yeah.
And that one was labeled wrong? Yeah. Okay. That was my bad then.
It's not my fault.
Did he
Did he just do that? He just did that.
That sounded like Biden to Trump. It's not my fault. It's your fault, pal.
It's yours. It's all your fault.
Let's just go with it. So Trump hammered Biden on COVID. Now, he did a bit of sleight of hand. He said Biden had more people die under his administration than Trump's. And he even said that they were dealing with the height of it. And let's remember, COVID became official, actually, while Trump was out of office, pretty much. When that happened, Trump kind of came, what was it, like March, April time? Was it kind of the...
Well, for COVID, when it first started, so COVID started like... Now, I think COVID was in the U.S. by September, October. They started really talking about it late November, early December, something like that. And then Trump was out of office, January 20th, technically. So... He had about 2-3 months of dealing with it.
Yeah.
And then Biden had, 2 years of dealing with it.
So, Trump was out of office. That means that Biden was the president for a lot longer through COVID and therefore takes a bunch more weight with the deaths and everything like that. Now, we can all argue and agree that how that all went down, how they handled it as government, what they forced on the American people as far as vaccines, and none of that's in dispute. We're in agreement with a lot of you who said that the government should have never forced vaccinations on people at all. And I remember sitting there talking to Pastor Todd one time, and he said, "You watch, man, people are just going to start. You're going to see them kind of die off, and you see that now, where people are just dying for no reason, especially young people dying for no reason. We don't even know the tally up to this point. But the whole COVID thing was really a weird kind of thing to bring up and spike a football on. I didn't have as many people die under my administration as yours.
Right.
It's just weird how they debated this whole, like if you're not catching it, it's like, do you guys realize what you're debating? Well, people died, but not as much as you. It's like,
right.
That's weird. It's just a weird thing to do and say. Like it was almost like they, you know what I mean? Like it's a Saul Alinsky tactic. It's keep oppressing and oppressing it. Like your slander is your greatest weapon is basically what he said. You know what I mean?
Let's post Jonathan's comment, Isaiah. Post Jonathan's comment. I was left knowing nothing new or positive about what either of these candidates will do for me if I elect them. Absolutely. Like that's how I felt at the end of it. I got a lot of, it was the greatest, I did the best ever, it's awesome, no worries. And then a lot of like, no, I'm the best. You're a liar. That was about what I felt like I got. I didn't get a whole lot of major policy or real strategy. What I got was stats twisted to fit the narrative. And, oh, by the way, that guy's worse than I am. Let's try the beat Medicare clip. Let's see if I did this one right.
Maybe.
I'll fall on it. I'll take it. Because I take
Beat
responsibility.
Happy to have a driving
What the
contest
heck?
with him.
Did it rename all of them or something? It renamed all of them. I can show you the
Stinking AI.
driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was...
Okay.
We'll just walk through it.
Okay. Something happened in the transfer. I did not do that.
That daggone CNN.
It's CNN's fault.
It's CNN's fault.
CNN. Okay. That was kind of the highlight max points of the debate was where Biden says, I beat Medicare. And Trump turns around and goes, yeah, he did. He beat it to death,
Yeah, even that, like, one of the things that you noticed throughout the whole debate was everybody was like doing this when Biden was talking. I can promise you, because the CNN mentioned it. But everybody was like, when Biden was talking, he was like, we were all like this, like, oh, is he going to make it? Is he going to get through it? I'm not trying to be funny. It's like, is he going to make it? Was he going to say something stupid? We were all waiting for something stupid to come out of his mouth. And for him to say, mumble, and say, I beat Medicare, I think that had everybody on their feet going, oh my goodness, we can't do this anymore.
Right.
We and the bottom line is Medicare, Medicaid, the whole mess. Again, government controlled, government derived, government subsidized, just dangerous. All of this has been dangerous. And all we keep saying is it's going to run out one day. You know, Social Security has been the pinpoint of all this for a long time. It's going to run out one day. Medicare, oh my gosh, we won't have enough money. Do you ever notice it's never enough money?
Right.
It's never enough. We got to keep
we need
pumping
more money for this.
More and more and more. Guys, I don't know a bank alive. That would keep pouring money into you if your business was losing money.
Right.
Unless you're funneling and do it as a write-off. But I don't know a bank alive that would say you're worth putting an investment into if you keep losing money every single year without the assets. And the lucky thing is we have a lot of assets, right? But eventually that dries up, and then what? They just keep printing money. That's what makes this worse. And it's funny because every economist on the left will say, but that's the way it should be. And the economists that are actually conservative, actual conservatives, not on the right, but conservatives, will say when government was established, it was never meant to get involved this way.
Right.
To be the arbiters of Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security and all these other things, right? I got into remember when we were in, where were we? Was it California?
That was California, yeah.
I got into a debate with a guy, and he hated our table, obviously. He starts talking about Social Security. He goes, "You won't even have Social Security." And he goes, "I suppose you don't really care about Social Security." I said, "I don't even pay into it, dude. As a minister, I don't pay into those things, so I probably won't get it." He goes, "Aren't you worried when you turn 65, you won't have anything coming in?" I said, "No. Here's why. Because now I take that money and I invest it in things. So my investments need to pay off. Like that's on me, not on anybody else. And if the government actually let people keep their money, they can do with what they want."
Right.
Because I said, even the money you get from Social Security now, is that enough for you to live on? It's a stipend. It's like college. What do they call it? Financial aid. You know what I mean? They give you a little check here to go buy your books and these little things. You can't do anything else. I mean, that's exactly what this has turned into. And they keep saying it's going to run out. It's going to run out. It's going to run out. And we need more money for infrastructure. We need more money for schools. They didn't even talk about none of that. We need more money for this, and it never stops. And that's all government has ever talked about for the last 100 years.
Money's
120
always,
years.
Money is always the
money
problem solver for some reason, right? And we pour. I don't know if we're still the biggest spender per student in the world, but we're near the top in terms of dollars spent on students. Yet our students are mediocre.
I know
in the world. But
what
then we look
like
at it, we go,
17th or 30th
well, we need
now?
to spend more on our students. We're already spending insane amounts on our students. What do we have to show for it? So obviously money is not
what
the
do we
solution.
have to show for it? A bunch of drag show queens coming into our libraries and teaching kids stuff they don't even need to know. And we're saying we need to invest more money into these kids when they don't even know how to read anymore, half these kids.
Because that stuff's not important anymore.
Exactly. You know what is important? Social studies. Like how to be a social person, how to explore your world. California passing laws saying that kids don't have to tell their parents on transition stuff, right? And that it's child abuse if you don't allow your kid. What the heck, dude? And we're sitting here saying we need more money for Medicare. We need more money for this. My golf game sucks. You know, like just this is just insanity. And I see why. I got to read that Alinsky quote. I see why this happens. I think I understand why people get frustrated with government. They don't want to be involved. Okay, and it's scary. It's scary. I'm trying to find this quote that I got to show you guys. This is so crazy, and once I find it, it's going to make sense to you. But the more I read, people. Oh, here it is. Saul Alinsky said this. He was a revolutionary, radical kind of. He wrote a book called Rules for Radicals, and it was all about how to basically destroy communities to create one democratic community. He was not for a republic, individual liberty, anything like that. He was for basically socialism. And he said, any revolutionary change must be preceded by a passive, affirmative, non-challenging attitude toward change among the mass of our people. They must feel so frustrated, so defeated, so lost, so futureless in the prevailing system that they're willing to let go of the past and chance the future.
Does that not feel like today?
Exactly. They're getting people to a point of, look, this just sucks. Just change the whole thing, okay? Whatever you get, we need to get rid of it all. And then people go, screw it. I don't want to get involved.
Mm-hmm. And it's a psychology thing. So people get worn down if they're in unstable environments. And you only have so much endurance when you're in really stressful, tense, unstable areas, environments, situations. And a person gets worn down to the point where they're whatever. I just want this stuff to go away. I just want some peace. I want some comfort. And if you look back at the past, 5-6 years, it's been really heavy of stress, tension, chaos. Everything, every other day is popping off in a different way, a different direction. And the masses, now they're getting crunched deeply in their pockets, right? I was just heard about a TikToker who a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, did a Walmart order. It was like 45 items and it cost him $120. He decided just for a chance to see, hey, what would this cost today? So he took the same exact items, ran it. It cost him over $400. That's a massive increase.
It is a massive increase.
And the people that were pointing this out noticed that he was paying for it with EBT. So of food stamps. Well, food stamps will only pay you like $200 or whatever
Some
for
get
your
more,
groceries. Some get more, but it is eating up all of your money to buy your groceries. So now everybody's not just worn down with watching the BLM stuff and the Antifa stuff and watching the policies go in and all the immigrants pour over the border. Now all of a sudden it's, I can't even feed my family. That is a recipe for disaster.
That's right.
And that is a recipe for a person to come in and say, I'll fix this.
That's exactly it. So they get so frustrated. Stores now, restaurants, even in California, I took pictures of it, so did you.
Yeah.
Now restaurants like Arby's, Wendy's, and all these things are taking EBT for payment. It's not even about food anymore. It's about spending it the way you want to. We are literally, the system is so corrupt. And they're telling you, the American citizen, that you need to be held more accountable on social media. You need to be the ones that need to watch what you say. You're the ones full of disinformation. Mm-hmm. You guys don't understand how government works when they can't even regulate themselves. This is how you know this is getting frustrating, and people are getting talking revolution and all this other stuff and all that. And we got a lot to talk about with that. Should we go to the abortion one?
Yeah, we got about 10, 15 minutes left, so.
No.
We're going long?
Let's go.
Okay.
I mean, let's just go what it takes.
I want to make sure that we get into, hey, where are we headed now?
Yeah.
So
we'll get there.
We'll get there. Clip that off.
So last one here that we're talking about, Biden talks abortion. Mike wrote something very good. He said he seemed to ramble, and I think we get what he was trying to do, but it didn't go over well. He was trying to say that everyone supported Roe as a gross exaggeration on par with some of Trump's. And at one point, Biden flat out said, "We're not for late-term abortion, period." He was in desperation mode there because they are. The left is really that crazy. And many of that side, especially the radicals, have called for late-term abortions, actually post-late-term abortion as well. I'm sorry, they were talking about post-birth. And New York actually kind of brought that up.
So it was the governor of Virginia, I believe, was on a radio show, and he talked about, well, what if the baby survives an abortion and is birthed? And he basically said, well, we'd make it comfortable, and then we'd decide what we need to do. And Trump brought that up. And Biden, in something that was probably making his own base a little upset, said, we're not for late-term abortion. That's crazy. And flat out said, we're not for it, period. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Because New York celebrated up to the moment of birth abortion.
Yeah,
they
totally.
Celebrated this.
They did.
It's insane for Biden to stand there and say, well, we're not for that.
Right.
When in reality, boy, that's funny because states like New York are passing
who support you,
abortion support
up
to birth, which tends to be pretty late term.
That is very true. That's late term, actually 2-term abortion, basically. And 2, Trump kind of did the middle of the road thing. He is for certain ones. If you're a single voter issue, I'm not a single voter issue. However, or a single issue voter. I'm sorry. I'm not that kind of person. However, I am an abolitionist for abortion. I don't think abortion should exist. I think we value life. And I know I'm hearing it now. What about the rape and incest? And just do the statistics, okay? It's literally less than almost, it was 1.3% of all abortions. I'm even being generous, I think, with that number, are committed because of rape or incest. And in those cases, why aren't we talking about punishing the rapist instead of the baby? Why isn't there stiffer penalty on the rapist instead of the baby? Why aren't we talking about how can the community go into those communities as a church, as a nonprofit group, and get to these people and show these women who are abused that there's a way out? We don't ever hear that. It's like, no, abortion for those kind of people. Then they blanket it all. So Trump playing the middle road saying it's a states issue, he's wrong to me. The founders didn't want life as a states issue or a federal government issue. There are 3 unalienable rights, among others, listed: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, property, basically. But the pursuit of happiness being a pursuit of being a virtuous and excellent man. Those 3 things have all been under attack. Every one of them, life and liberty. Liberty especially. But life has been where it's like, we're going to leave it to the states to tell you when life begins or ends. You're freaking crazy.
Right.
You're crazy. So I don't agree with Trump on that. Just a heads up. Immigration, that was a tit for tat back and forth thing. That one was weird.
I do like that Trump hit immigration repeatedly. I think he needed to hit 2 things constantly: the economy and immigration. And Biden can't run from immigration. He tried to. He even said, he had a quote in there where he said about they've had 40% less crossings than Trump did. And he even says, since I passed my law. Well, I looked into this law. Nowhere near is this a true statement that there's somehow 40% less crossings. Trump had it down. He had crossings down because people recognize it's no good for me to bother trying. Biden's rolling out the red carpet and has been. Now, what's this law? On June 4th, the administration issued an executive order. Executive order somehow is law, which supposedly prohibits illegals from receiving asylum. Now, the truth is, if they argue they need protection, they're allowed to stay and try to find other ways to stay. This is a one of those sleight of hand tricks that they'll do to you. They'll say, "Oh no, we're going to send you back."
Who's in those rooms with those millions of people saying, "What are you here for?" Oh, so you're arguing you need help?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll put you in then.
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
And part of this whole process is you go through a court proceeding. Well, the courts are taking years. When you funnel millions upon millions of people over that border, and they've got to go through court cases, how many court cases do you think you can do a day? Right? So what they're really doing is they're placing it on the court system and say, oh yeah, if we decide that they were here illegally and they illegally crossed and their court proceeding says so, then we'll send them back. And they'll do this sleight of hand on you, hoping that you buy it and go, oh, okay, they're controlling stuff on the border. And you notice Biden also said, we're going to hire more border guards and asylum. He talked about asylum officials. Why? Why do you need asylum officials if you're actually going to do something about the border?
Could we just say this? How are you catering more to a criminal? Right? Mm-hmm. You're catering more to the criminal than you are the one who's actually following the law.
Yep.
That's unbelievable. And people are like, they're not criminals. When you do something illegal, like cross a border, when there's a national law that says you cannot do that, that is called breaking a law. That is called crime. That's it. Now, there are some who are refugees and seeking asylum. Sure. Great. Who are they? What's their names? What are they doing? Who are they bringing across? Right. Because they're not all ladies and babies here. You know what I mean? They're not.
No. There's surprisingly a large number of Chinese and Africans and Iranians
especially.
Yeah. For no reason at all.
Muslim takeover much?
No.
Just throwing that out there.
Oh, that's dangerously close to the Great Replacement there.
Right. Oh, dude, Tucker just did it. Did you see that?
Yeah.
When he took that woman down. Man, dude, that was so. He's so good, bro. Like it's almost like he's kind of got that attitude of, I'm dead anyway. Who cares? I'm just gonna say it, dude. It's so good when he debates.
I think he's hit that point of like, I don't even care anymore.
He's like, dude, I've worked with people like you for years, and I'm tired of it. It's like, that a boy.
He lambasted
so good,
her.
dude.
He lambasted her. I love it.
Yeah. So Jan 6, real fast.
Biden kept hitting this one.
Yeah, insurrection.
Yep. And I was surprised that Biden, as far as I could tell, only referenced once or twice Trump's conviction status, being a convicted felon or whatever. And he also hit January 6th several times, tying this whole insurrection thing to him. And Biden flat out lied about Trump. He said he was in the White House and he was not doing anything. He was telling everybody no for 3 hours. He was just standing there staring at a wall. Wait, that was me.
That was me and my little white bag of white powder, folks.
This is my son. I mean, it was mine.
My bag of white powder.
Yeah.
That one too. Trump obviously defended himself. Dude, he's got receipts. Trump did tweet and do. Dude, you can't control people.
Right.
At some point, these folks are gonna. Now, listen. I have my theories about Jan 6th, about that whole thing. There was no police there. That was weird.
Well, and the cops that were there were ushering them in.
Yeah, just let them in. Like, and just the whole thing was just reeked of
weirdness.
Not weirdness. Setup. Just the whole thing. I have my theories. You know what I mean? Again, you can take it for what you want. That's why we never covered it really, because it's like I don't really have facts, so I don't want to cover it. I have my theories. But he came out and like, dude, he had receipts. My man was like, look, he's one man. He's not going to control the masses. He can't, and if he does control the masses with his word, guys, that's dangerous. That's weird. That's just a cult, whatever. We don't have to do the Nazi thing.
I do want to say this. You'll notice Trump hit hard when Biden tried to roll out the
Nazi thing,
fine people thing. Yeah,
and Trump said, "You guys know this was bunk."
Right.
And even Snopes was like, "Yeah, that was bunk. I don't know why he hit that."
But Biden's going to try and do that because
it resurrects that emotion.
Yes, and the strategy is try to speak to the lowest common denominator, and the lowest common denominator is probably not paying attention to the whole story. They just hear the line and they're like, "Oh, he said Nazis were fine people."
That's right.
And that's what people walk away in their head. Now, right. I appreciate that Trump tried to nail it, and he's got to continue to nail it because it's going to pop up like whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So, I think we go to okay. Let's just go to agent competency. I'm gonna sound crass right now, so forgive me how I sound here, okay? But it's literally like my golf club is bigger than your golf club. I mean, it was literally like,
yeah,
really.
Trump. I aced it. Aced the test. I'm great. It's the best ever. The doctor told me no one's done it like me. Never aced it. I did. And
dude, that's the stuff I don't like about him. It's like, why do you have to do that? Conflate stuff. Nobody's ever done it like me. I feel better than I've ever felt before. You're lying. As you get older, unless you're working out, right?
Which he doesn't.
And whatever. But it's like just this whole, I'm acing tests. He doesn't want to take a test or a drug test. And it's like, that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, I don't get it, man. I don't get what that.
If we've got to have an argument about competency tests for our presidential candidates, there's something wrong.
Thank you, Angie. You got that one.
They shouldn't even have to bring it up. Let me repeat this because maybe it's flew over people's heads. If your presidential candidates have to actually argue about whether or not they can pass a competency test, there's an issue.
That's right.
You're riding right on the borderline when you should be way over here.
When you have legit people who are willing to argue. I mean, again, DeSantis ran. I wonder what he was thinking. All these guys that are in their 40s.
I could have aced it.
40s, their 50s. I would even argue Robert Kennedy has that.
He's still with it.
He's fit. The guy knows how to answer questions, all that stuff. Like, again, I'm not advocating for these people. I'm saying, look at the field we had to choose from, right? And who could have fit that bill. Nikki Haley should never even have been in the freaking conversation. But just overall, when you look at people's ideas, you're like, dang, that one stands out, that one stands out. And then here we are on a debate nationally where you knew all eyeballs were going to be on this because people were going to see if Joe's going to mess up, and B, is Trump going to bash the snot out of him? It's really what it was.
Yep.
People these days, and we tried to relate this in the last video we did, they're out for blood. We're not out for semblancy anymore. We're out for blood. We're out to see who's going to screw up the best. How can we attack? What are we going to do? We knew the moment we got off, it was like, oh boy, I bet you the social media, because we weren't on social media while we were watching it because I didn't want anybody's opinion. But it was constant, bro. Like all these little tweets and shots and everything. And it's like, we've come to the point where now we're watching things just to take shots so we can get views instead of just, what are the issues? How are we going to fix this? Can the people get their rights back? Because they're already your rights. You know what I mean? Like, what authority does government have that you don't? And if they think they do, isn't that pretended legislation according to the way the founders wrote about this? They don't have more authority than you because you give them that authority. So it's time to reclaim it, and I think that's where we are as a people. I think the frustration that we come to is, what's the answer? I think everybody's asking that, right? And I don't know if we're going to our thoughts right now, but I think we can go to our thoughts.
I wanted to hit just where do we go from here first.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And then kind of the final capper, because I think it's really important to point out, and a lot of people are saying this, and I agree with them, that this smelled of a setup. It smelled of a setup, especially for Biden. And I explained it this way. It's a win-win. If Biden does well, cool. He's still got some muster. We can keep going with him. If he falls flat on his face, now we have the public evidence needed to start moving him and putting somebody else into place. And I looked into this because people are saying, but he already won the primary. You can't remove him. They haven't had the convention yet. Now, he has 99% delegates that have pledged to cast their vote for him at the convention. But there is the possibility that he gets talked into stepping down. There is a statement made from CNN chief national correspondent John King, who said prominent Democrats are set to ask the White House to force Biden to step down as presidential candidate. If they ask him to step down, they have to put somebody else in place. And he doesn't, at the end of the day, he can say, I'm not going to run. I'm not doing this. Lyndon B. Johnson actually did it. I'm not running for re-election. Now, Lyndon B. Johnson did it much earlier, but they could do this. This actually plays, I was telling my wife this morning, this is a little bit of political strategy. This actually works in their favor. Now, if you can get the ballots printed out with a new name and all that, that's a technical issue that you would have to figure out. But the less time your alternate has to campaign, the better they'll be in everybody's eyes. And it becomes more of a referendum on Trump. Do you want another Trump presidency? It becomes less about Biden is a mess, Trump's the best we've got. And it becomes more about, here's a new guy we don't know a whole lot about, Trump's awful. So it actually plays to the Democrats' favor the longer they can string this out of getting that new guy in who's fresh. Don't campaign him a whole lot. Keep him in the basement like you did Biden. And then the whole election ends up about Trump. And that's what they did in 2020. They made it all about Trump. They tried to keep Biden out of the spotlight as much as possible in order to ensure that people don't start asking questions. I really believe that it would be somebody like Newsom.
Right.
I really believe it's going to be Newsom.
No,
I could be wrong.
I got some friends, and they're right. Newsom in the polls seemed to show lower than Biden did. I've just never trusted polls. I don't think polls are the best litmus because of the demographics they ask. So Newsom for so many people seems like this young hotshot like a Trudeau.
Yeah.
He's got that kind of debonair kind of look. He'll brag on how good the economy in California is and how prosperous it is and all that other stuff. And they're in debt, all that stuff. So I think I've just never trusted polls. I look at optics.
Yeah.
And they'll put Newsom against Biden and they'll shift support. Because if they just say Biden's done, who else are they going to vote for?
And
so they'll just shift all that. That's why I said Newsom. That's why I think we think that.
Right. And I think you would even get a contingency of demographics that come back to the Democrats because Biden's out of the way. Because they won't know as much about Newsom. So instead of Biden being that messy, awful guy that all the baggage is attached to, and he screwed us, so we're going the Trump route.
Yeah.
You bring in new guy. Well, I don't know much about new guy. Maybe he'll help us out.
Yeah.
There's a real.
Yeah, and some people have said Michelle Obama. I just saw your post, Angie. I'm only going by people that they've been kind of pushing. Right in preparing and kind of throwing out there, Michelle's. It doesn't seem like she wants to do it. Like doesn't seem like she's throwing her. Like I'm shocked that they didn't try to make Kamala Harris who they wanted her to be. I think when they saw the incompetency, they were like, okay, whatever. I don't know. I could be wrong here. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit.
No, I agree.
But
I think they were because they wanted black female go-getter, and I think they started wrapping her in and they realized, oh, crap.
And two, why wouldn't they have just pushed Michelle Obama right away?
Right.
Because she would get a great showing.
Here's how you're going to be able to tell who they are thinking of going for. You're going to see the picks that they want to replace Biden with. You're going to see them on talk shows. You're going to see them start popping up on podcasts. Right, so keep an eye out for the next couple of weeks of is Michelle Obama all of a sudden on the speaking circuit? Is Gavin Newsom all of a sudden doing new shows and on the speaking circuit?
Yeah,
because I think that'll be their litmus test. Because I agree with you, I don't think Michelle Obama really wants to do it. She doesn't seem to be extremely vocal about all of this.
Right. But then again, Barack Obama was 117 days as a senator, then popped into the presidency. You know what I mean? So like it was really, really short what happened to him. So I don't see it. I could be wrong. I'm not trying to be prophetic or not prophetic or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought about that or prayed on that, but I just don't see it happening. To me, Newsom has been a setup for a long time.
Yeah.
He's just kind of that Democrat darling.
Remember that, didn't he, they ended up, man, I can't talk today. There's a reason for that. Falling into the Biden trap.
Don't speak that over yourself, man.
It just soaks
what's wrong
in.
with you?
DeSantis and Newsom, they ended up having their debate, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I couldn't remember. I know they were setting it up. That's a litmus test situation, right? They put Newsom out there. They had DeSantis out there. Hey, let's put a debate between these guys. They can pull information from that. And that's, I don't see anybody else in the Democrat field that they would put their weight behind that could be influential.
There have been inferences by stations that interviewed The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, I remember
they've been
him
throwing
floated.
even just recently, like, hey, would you run for president? People are very emotional these days in how they choose. Mm-hmm. He's the kind of guy that's that box office darling. He's out helping people. He's got that kind of what do you call it? He's got the image.
Yeah, he's got charisma and influence,
good guy image. Doesn't want to speak ill of anybody kind of thing. And then he came out just recently saying he's not happy with the state of the country. It's like, is this a setup of what's to come? Right? Do you think about him? Again, Michelle Obama's name's been thrown around, but you just don't see her kind of, jump in the ring like that. Yeah. So it's like I don't see it. And Trump, when he jumped in early. Like it was 2012 stuff when he was like.
Started really talking about it.
Yeah, dude. So like we're here 12 years later and he's still gunning right now, man. So it just, I don't know. I could be wrong about all this, but Newsom, I feel like they've been setting up for a long time.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I'm with you. All right. So our closing thoughts. At the end of the day, Massey kind of touched on this. What you'll notice is there was a lot of debate back and forth about who is the better person. And there wasn't a whole lot of talk about, okay, what is the role of government and how you view that role of government. It's pretty much, hey, what programs can I implement? What can I do in order to save the nation? And if you've been with us for any length of time, you're going to know we're very strong on adhering to the Constitution. Get back to the Constitution. Let's stop putting government into all of these different situations and these pieces of our lives. Let's live our lives. And my final verdict on this debate was it showed us where we're at in this whole process. It really did, and that's not a good thing. we're off kilter on all of this. Yeah, you got anything, man?
No, I just think it's hard because every American out there right now is thinking, what do we do about all this? You know, what's our role? What do we play? First off, I speak extensively, as much as I can, about what I know about history. And though not perfect, history's riddled with many things that, man, things that were wrong, things that were righteous, repentance, all of that. All I can say is I'm thinking about that slide in 1754 when Admiral Danville was going to go and attack, and he basically said, I'm going to take Nova Scotia all the way down to Georgia. I'm going to wipe everybody. Remember, this is pre-Declaration of Independence. And then all of a sudden, the governor of Massachusetts says, we need to pray. We need to have a national day of prayer and fasting. And then there was a preacher named Patrick Prince, I think it was, and he said, Lord, send your tempest against our enemies. And it was noted by historians that all of a sudden they heard all these church bells go off because of the winds being so strong, and no one was in the steeple ringing the bells. And a hurricane swept up that whole ship carrying, it was some 17 ships, 30,000, I can't remember the numbers, but it was like the largest fleet at that time. And at this point, there are some of us called to get into that political race, to get involved, to change things from the inside out. And many of them are doing as best they can, doing a great job. Some of them aren't. Obviously some are there by design to destroy the system. I'm a little bit more optimistic than most. I'm pretty much an optimist. I see the roses all the time, and that may bite me one day. I'm not sure. I don't want to speak that, but I will say this. At least if you're not at home praying against the enemies of God to turn and repent of their sin and saying, Lord, your word says in Isaiah 10, woe unto the judges who prescribe grievances for my people and decree unrighteous decrees, these in leadership. That was a heavy sentence from Isaiah to say that. We need to be not just praying, actively saying, Lord, how can I educate myself to be involved in these things? How can I get involved in some small way? Can I do something in any way at my church to improve our community, to show people this is how a community's run? We get so bogged down with national politics that we're not focused on the local. When the first few battles, I think it was in America, was fought by church people. Battle of, I think it was Lexington. It was like 73 Americans against 700 of British. And it's like, you're focused on the local. What's in front of you? What is in front of you to do right now? What is God calling you to do right now? Like if America falls tomorrow, guys, I am not going to lose peace about it. I can't, because my peace isn't in America. It's not in the liberty that this nation says it gives me. My liberty doesn't come from America. It comes from the Lord God of heaven. My calling is to government, I feel. I think I'm called to this realm to talk history and all this other stuff. I'm called to preach the gospel, but they don't give me the right to do that. This government doesn't give me the prosperity that God has given me. God gives me that. So in a sense, we need to go back to Philippians 4 and say, Lord, you told me to, whatever things are true and pure and just and honest and of good report, you said to think on these things. I think if we're not there and we're constantly fretting about what we can control or what we can't control instead of what we can in our own field, that's where we begin to get frustrated, and we start being extreme on issues. And we throw these extreme statements out there and revolution and take up guns. It's like, dude, I don't want that. And if it comes to that, okay, but those aren't always successful either. That doesn't mean we're going to get success if people just revolt. That does not mean anything. And if the people are illiterate and immoral, what are you going to replace America with? So be careful when you start making extreme statements like that if we don't have a populace that's educated. Now, here you go into the field that is in front of you. Lord, what have you given me to do right now in front of me that I can do? What have you given me in my field to do right now? Is it my family? Is it my home? Is it my business? Is it the marketplace? Is it the government realm in front of me? Is it the school boards? You do that. Do all that you can do and leave the results to God. That is literally, that was George Washington. That's where my mind goes, is I can't control any of this. Those two blabbering dudes last night, bro, y'all, I'm just being honest with you. I was looking at it going, this is why people are frustrated, because of this. They're trying to make you more frustrated to change the system. Saul Alinsky was right. They're trying to upend the system. Why do you think they always talk democracy? Why are they always telling you to hate your history? Why are we okay with taking down statues of past heroes and past failures? Why are we trying to redo history? Why are they coming against America so hard to try to undo it? A system that was created by God. Why are they telling you religion's no good no more? Why is it that Christians can't speak in a public square? You can. They're just telling you that you can't. So to me, all of this is ridiculous. And what I'm saying is, until we get in our hearts the power of God to demonstrate, nothing's going to change. But you know what does when you begin to demonstrate the power of God? When people begin to see the move of God within your heart, no matter where you're at, I think that's where it goes all the time. That's where my heart goes. So right now, all I can control is the people I preach to, the things we're called to do, my family, my kids. I'm raising up my sons to my oldest boy. He's like, man, I want to take over Self-Evident one day, Pops. I'm like, that's phenomenal. I think that's great. So I have my area to control, and wherever I go to preach, it better make sure to be Christ crucified and Christ lifted up, right? That's all I can control. And if God calls me to more, to get involved and to be a politician, I'm good with that. If that's what he wants me to do, I don't see a future in that for me. If he wants me to pastor a church and do all that stuff, praise God, I'm willing to do that. If you don't do what's in front of you, you're going to get caught in the weeds. You're going to be paralyzed. And the Bible tells us he did not give you a spirit of fear. You know what that means? That means if you feel fear at all, none of that comes from the Lord. That means it should never even be in your psyche. It should never be around you. He said he came to give you a spirit of power, of love, and a sober, sound mind. To see through the junk, to discern what's right and wrong, to understand what's going on in these times. And if you read and study and history, all of this is biblical. Everything that you're seeing right now is in the Bible. Government's conspiring against the people, trying to destroy Christianity. I was reading in Matthew 10 this morning. He said, man, you're gonna be put in front of governors and councils because they're gonna hate you because they hate me. Don't worry, I'm gonna give you the words to say. All throughout the whole thing, he was like, don't worry, I'm gonna give you everything you need. Don't worry. We just need to be active about what he's called us to do. Be obedient to what he's called us to do and let God do the rest. Amen? That's where we're at. Amen. I think that this whole debate was weird, and we're going to see more weirdness, but I also see hope. I see a lot of hope. I see the people, they're not willing to put up with this anymore, and you're going to see more and more come out. I just have more hope than most people, I think. And I'll say it again, and I preach this everywhere I go, where people see darkness, I see something completely different. I see God exposing wickedness and darkness because he gave us the Spirit of God, and that people have been praying against wickedness for years, and you're seeing it explode right now, and that doesn't mean it's getting worse. It means that the Spirit of God's on the move, and he's exposing it, telling us what to confront and what to change. They don't have authority or power over us, you guys. The Bible says, I send you as sheep amongst wolves. You hear that? He says, therefore, be wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Get out there and do what you need to do. We're sheep amongst wolves. So I'm just encouraging you today, stay in prayer. We're going to call another National Day of Prayer and Fasting again. We got to do this because this is where we're at in the fight. And so be encouraged. Read Philippians 4. Stay on the lane. You know what's funny? Every time I preach, people get off. If it's gossip, this pisses me off. And I'll say it. When it's gossip and we're talking and making fun of people, they stay on. But you start talking about the Spirit of God, nobody wants it. You know what, dude? Fine. Those that get the truth will be redeemed. That's fine. That's how this works.
That's fair.
That's how this works. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. We'll hit Bible topics. Yeah, you get 30 views. Talk Robert Morris and his whole mess. We get thousands of views. It's just ridiculous. We want drama.
We're going to do a show on that. Maybe we should do it on Monday.
Yeah. Anyway.
But all right.
God is good.
Okay.
Look, go to theselfevidenttruth.com. I'm really hot about this. America's not done yet. No. I just don't see it done yet. We've been through crap like this before. We're not done yet. I don't see it. You know, God is good and he's faithful.
All right. Guys, go to theselfevidenttruth.com. Get yourself some merch. Become a torchbearer. By all means, pray about supporting. Like, subscribe. You can get this on Spotify, Apple, all of the podcast places to listen in your car. If you didn't catch all of it, go back through, listen to it again. Let us know what you think. We love y'all. We hope you guys have a great weekend. All right? Love you guys.